Our pear tree is just loaded with pears this year, and it's time to dig out some pear recipes. Today I'm making an upside down pear cake. To make it easy, I'm using my cast iron pan that can go from the stove top to the oven. I'm melting 1 stick or half a cup of butter and 1 cup of brown sugar. I'm stirring and bringing this up to a simmer on medium heat. Once at a simmer, I'm letting that cook for 1 minute and then removing from the heat and letting it slightly cool. This will produce a nice gooey glaze on top. Just a reminder that I will leave the recipe and the list of ingredients for this upside down pear cake below this video. Also remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video recipe and click the bell to make sure you receive notification of all my future video recipes. I'm mixing the dry ingredients first. I have 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm adding in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, giving that a good whisk and setting to the side. In another bowl, I have 1 stick of room temperature butter, and I'm adding in 1 1/4 cups of sugar, giving that a mix with my hand mixer until creamy. I'm adding in 2 room temperature eggs and giving it another mix. And I'm adding in 1/2 cup of room temperature milk and another mix. Now I'm gradually adding the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and mixing thoroughly in between, making sure that I scrape down the sides. The batter will be a little thick. I have my pears peeled and sliced. I'm also using some maraschino cherries. You can decorate it as you like. Remember when the cake is done that it will be flipped upside down and this will be the top. You can also incorporate other fruit like apples, peaches, or cranberries. After you have the fruit placed, you want to spoon over the batter and level out. This is going into a preheated 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 30 to 35 minutes. I just took the pear cake out of the oven. I don't have to tell you how good this smells. Going to let that cool until it's still slightly warm, and then I'm going to flip it upside down on a lined sheet pan or cake platter. All that brown sugar glaze is soaked down into the cake and produced a delicious sweet gooey crust. The pears are perfectly cooked and are a burst of pear flavor. Some of my cherries slid to the side, but it's still good. This upside down pear cake makes a wonderful party gift. The cake is moist and goes great with a cup of coffee or tea. If you are looking for a pear recipe, this upside down pear cake is delicious, and I hope you give it a try and enjoy. First, I am mixing my dry ingredients and sifting. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. In another bowl, I have 3 eggs, and I'm adding in 1 3/4 cups of sugar and mixing well. I'm adding in 1 cup of vegetable oil and again mixing well. Now I'm adding my dry ingredients to my wet ingredients, and I will do this in a couple batches, mixing well in between. Make sure you scrape the sides and bottom well. The batter will be slightly thick, and try not to overmix. You can use canned peaches for this recipe. Today I'm using 2 cups of fresh peaches that I peeled and diced. These will add a lot of flavor and moisture to this cake. I'm folding in the peaches until incorporated. I have my oven preheating to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm pouring in my peach cake batter into a 9x13 grease baking pan and leveling out. This is optional, but I'm laying a layer of fresh sliced peaches down the center to give everyone the hint of what's inside the cake. Just a reminder that I will leave the recipe and the list of ingredients for this Southern Peach Cake below this video. Also remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video recipe, and click the bell to make sure you receive notification of all my future video recipes. I'm also sprinkling over some sliced almonds for a little crunch. This is going into a 375-degree preheated oven for 50 minutes or until the center is firm. The kitchen smells amazing. The cake is done and I'm going to let it cool to room temperature. It is going to be hard to resist. In the meantime, I'm going to make a simple icing to drizzle over the top. I have about a half a cup of confectioner's sugar and I'm adding in a little drizzle of milk at a time. It will take about a teaspoon or so to get the consistency that I want. And that is going to do it right there. This is what you want, and whisk it until it is smooth. Once the cake is completely cool, I'm going to drizzle the icing over the top. There's no right or wrong here. Just try to evenly disperse the icing so everyone gets a bite. I made these Hungry Man servings, but you can easily get 12 to 16 servings out of this cake. This Southern Peach Cake is nice and moist and dense like a coffee cake, so a little will go a long way. I can taste the hint of cinnamon, and it has a light peach flavor with a crunchy, sweet, peachy topping. With the holiday season coming, this is a great cake recipe to keep in mind. Easy to put together and delicious. I hope you give this Southern Peach Cake a try and enjoy. This cake is easy and fun to make. You probably have most of the ingredients in your pantry. Granny cake is a dense cake using a can of crushed pineapple and topped with an icing when the cake is right out of the oven. The results? Well, you will see at the end. In a large bowl, I'm combining the flour, sugar, salt, and baking soda, giving that a good mix to combine. Next, I'm adding in 2 large eggs that are at room temperature and a 20-ounce can of crushed pineapple with the juices. And that's it for the cake, giving that a good mix to incorporate. Just a reminder that you'll be able to find this recipe, the list of ingredients, and much more in the Show More section below. I've also included links where you can purchase online some of the ingredients and the equipment that I use in this video recipe. If you have a chance, please check it out. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm pouring the batter into a well-greased 9x13 pan and leveling out. Topping the cake with some crushed pecans and sprinkling with some brown sugar. The original recipe calls for about 3/4 of a cup to a cup of brown sugar, but here I'm using about a half a cup. With sugar in the cake, the brown sugar for the topping, and there is sugar in the icing going on top, that can be really sweet, so you can adjust the sugar level to your liking. This goes in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. While the cake is baking, I'm making the icing for the top. This icing really makes this cake. In a saucepan over medium-high heat, I'm combining some evaporated milk, sugar, and butter and bringing that to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm removing it from the heat and stirring in some pure vanilla extract. The cake is done and it smells really good. I'm evenly pouring over my icing, and it will fill in all the gaps and soak down into the cake, run down the sides, and soak into the bottom. When the cake completely cools to room temperature, the cake will have absorbed all the icing, and the top will have formed a nice, crispy, crunchy, nutty crust topping. The granny cake is a dense, moist cake, almost like a brownie. The pineapple gives it a nice richness. Let the granny cake cool to room temperature so it absorbs all the icing, and then you can store it in the refrigerator. I hope you give this easy and delicious granny cake a try and enjoy. If you like this video recipe, please hit the like and subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell next to the subscribe to make sure that you get my future video recipes. You can also find me on Facebook and at my website. Feel free to share this recipe and my channel with your friends and family. And until next time, much love!